Jill. Well, welcome everyone. Good afternoon. Happy hot and humid Wednesday. I hope you are all in air condition, not sweating it out like I am in Rancho Bernardo, but good to see you. I'm just waiting a few moments to make sure that we have quorum. And I believe we are very close. All right. Well, shall we go ahead and get started? Happy, when did it become August? I am not sure how that happened, but it's really good to see everyone. You probably saw at the beginning of your agenda a lot of very important things about meetings and how the public can access our meetings and how they can call in and use web forms. So we hope you got a chance to take a look at that. And we are officially calling this meeting to order at 12:32. I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes from July 6th.
So moved, Wendy.
Thank you. Commissioner Hanson, do I have a second to approve them?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Moraga. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Great. Minutes are approved as submitted. Thank you so much. Okay, are there any requests for continuance? How about any non-agenda public comment? All right. If not, we will move forward to always inspiring Friends of the Library report. Hello,
Hey,
Ann McDonald. Oh,
sorry,
did I miss?
Cindy, I just wanted to point out in your packet, there was a non-agenda public comment that was submitted after the
Thank you.
the meeting last week, and we included it in the packet for this week.
Thank you. Thank you. Do we need to read that, Misty, or actually, I do. I remember you and I looked at that. It came in late afterwards.
Yes, you do. I believe you need to read.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for catching that. I am just opening up my other screen, and in the Zoom world, it's nice to be able to have people's comments in different ways. Okay, so yes, thank you so much, Misty. We did receive a comment that came in at the end of our meeting from July 16th from a community member named Allison. And I'm just going to read her comments. She wanted to mention, thank you for continuing to make these meeting recordings available online. Can the library make recommendations for needs that should be accommodated by development services? I'm not sure why a 7-story residential building is a kiss of death. In fact, it should support the library. There could be shared use parking agreements with the development, as well as requiring the developer to provide transit amenities, bike amenities, even funding transit frequency to the library. Do you have a sense of how people access the library currently? What is the split between driving, transit, walking, and biking, etc.? Commissioner Anderson mentioned the transit priority area, which it seems benefits the library. I just want to caution against the library preference being allocating dollars towards something without knowing what it's funding, especially if accommodations can be made with the developer going through mitigation that can benefit the library. Thank you so much, Allison. If you are online, thank you for submitting your comments. Those are noted and in the record for today's meeting. And that was based on our presentation from our last meeting. That's helpful. Thank you for that, Misty. Are there any comments about the comments? Otherwise, we will move forward with the Friends report. And I'm just checking the chat here. And hello, Linda. Hello. Okay, great. Welcome, Anne. The report from the Friends, please.
Thank you. The Friends began the month with a kickoff for the Libraries and Parks for All on Saturday, July 9th. I and others ceremoniously signed a large replica of the petition form. Petition books and training for obtaining signatures were provided to attendees. Now our friends are engaged in getting signatures from registered San Diego City voters. Our July monthly meeting was virtual, but on Saturday next week, August 13th, we will meet in person at the Mission Valley Library, both the officers board and the chapter presidents groups. We are still working on getting an AmeriCorps VIP member to help us in our effort to increase the number of our volunteers. We interviewed a candidate who seems promising. If we are successful, the candidate would begin on September 7th. We awarded a MacArthur Scholarship to Linda Dami to continue her Master of Library and Information Science through San Jose State University. We have received 3 applications for the E.T. Perry Centennial Chapter grants. We had hoped to have a presence at the San Diego Book Festival, but we could not afford the fees involved. However, we are looking forward to participating in the next North Park Book Fair. Book sales continue at the various branch libraries. We want these efforts to be as successful as possible, as we are cognizant of the matching fund goal of $1.2 million this year. I invite all of you to come to the UH monthly book sale on the 3rd weekend of each month. We are open on Saturday from 9 to 3 and Saturday and Sunday from noon to 3. On Sunday, we have book bags, $5 a bag for books. We are still unpacking books and filling shelves. We had new shelves installed a month or so ago. We hope to have all areas, top and bottom, open for browsing by our August 20th sale. Submitted by me, Ann McDonald.
Great report, Ann. Thank you. And that's still a heck of a deal. $5 for a bag of books. I think we should add a 1 at the beginning and make it 15. It's still a good deal. But thank you, Ann. Great report. Are there any questions for Ann? Sure appreciate all the work of the friends. Thank you. All right, let's keep moving to the foundation report. Team Patrick Charlie. Lots of fun things going on at the foundation level.
There are lots of fun things going on. Good afternoon, everyone. It's good seeing you all. 3 quick things. One, you'll be hearing a presentation from our friends G4 and Carson Block Technology. I want to note that it has been an absolute pleasure kicking off this second phase, or the second formal phase of the library master plan with them. We've had a lot of very fantastic and robust conversations, and excited for them to present what this phase is going to look like to you. The second one, as Ann had mentioned, on July 9th, the Libraries Parks for All initiative, which is the coalition between the Library Foundation and Parks Foundation, to bring to the voters an opportunity to raise a substantial amount of money year over year to support our libraries and our parks, officially was underway with, as she said, the signature gathering celebration that we held at the North Claremont Park. Ann is right. There were, I think, about 30 people that signed ceremoniously. Sort of think of the large ceremonious checks, you know, that nonprofits get, the ceremonious ballot signatures. But there were quite a few. I think we had about 50 people show up, including Council President Shawnee Ila Rivera, who made some very very kind remarks about how important it is that we continue to think outside the box and identify opportunities to support our libraries and our parks. We have, so just a quick update on that. We have 180 days to gather about 120,000 signatures. This is going to be done through a combination of both volunteer and paid signature gatherers. So the volunteer support is very important, and so just wanted to make sure that all of you commissioners know that there is an opportunity for you to also participate and support as volunteer signature gatherers, or if you see signature gatherers out and about at either your parks, your library, or in front of your Home Depot, to please make sure that you not only sign the petition, but also encourage friends and family to do so as well. The third thing I want to do is make sure you all will be getting an invitation to it, but the San Diego Public Library Visual Arts Program is hosting this year's San Diego Art Prize, which is a really big deal. I had a long conversation with our director of the Commission for Arts and Culture, Jonathan Gluss, on Friday, and he is absolutely thrilled that this very important civic activity is happening in our library. Not just in any city building, but in our library. The Library Foundation is a sponsor and supporter of this. The San Diego Art Prize annually recognizes for fantastic, exemplary visual arts, either individuals or groups. This year's theme focuses primarily around the visual arts on our border region between San Diego and Ensenada. One of the organizations, the Cognate Collective, was also recently featured in the San Diego Public Library's exhibit, the Occupy Third Space exhibit on earlier this spring. The opening night, the VIP reception opening night, is September 16th, Friday, September 16th from 5 to 8 upstairs. And so you will be getting an invite for this, and would love to see our commissioners at this exhibit at some point through the fall, but certainly at the VIP opening on September 16th, 5 to 8 p.m. Aside from all the other work that the foundation is doing, which we certainly enjoy, feel free to get in touch at any time, always available to have a conversation about the work that we do to support our library system. That's my report.
Great report. Thank you, Patrick. And I heard a signature gathering is already going well, and you have foundation board members that have books that they are getting filled quickly. So again, encourage folks, if you have a lot of friends, I think you should have them all sign your book or get a book from Patrick, or go to Home Depot. There's an excuse to go to Home Depot.
There's an excuse to go to Home Depot.
Yes, who needs an excuse? It's like Costco and Target. And noted opening night on September 16th, San Diego Arts Prize. That's really exciting.
Yeah.
Really exciting. Thank you, Patrick. Thank you for the great work of the foundation. All right, let's move forward to the consent agenda. There's always lots and lots going on. Report on library construction projects. Raul, take it away. He's all dressed up. Got something important to say. He's off the job site.
Beautiful outside. Good afternoon, everybody. I've got a few updates. Pacific Highlands Ranch, first of all, groundbreaking event took place in the middle of July, the 15th to be exact. And we are working with the Engineering and Capital Projects Department, Commission for Arts and Culture, and the contractor. There's regular meetings occurring now, construction meetings, just meetings to ensure that construction is on time and on budget. So super excited for construction there to it's already begun, but for it to continue. So preparation activities for that construction are in place, and actual construction, like I mentioned, should have started this week. Super exciting there. Scripps Miramar Ranch Library. This is referring to the parking lot expansion. Finally, we have an approved drawing for construction to commence there. The city has now had a ready to issue building permit, and the documents are in process. One other thing with Scripps Miramar Ranch, outside of this library parking lot expansion, is that we have also received funds this fiscal year in the CIP budget for work to be done on the HVAC. So it's going to be replacement of the HVAC, a roof replacement, and a fire suppression system at the Scripps Ranch Library. And then Ocean Beach. So just a little background. There were 3 separate design concepts that were presented to the community, and that we, along with the AEP division, Architectural Engineering, and Parks Division of Engineering, gathered surveys with community feedback. So we received about 160 surveys, and that time period for us to collect those surveys ended on July 8th. We are going to be meeting not only with the town council and the Friends, but also with the engineering folks and the library department to go over those results, and we're going to present them back to the Ocean Beach Planning Group, and we're going to vote and move forward with the concept, right, that the community feels best represents what they've been looking for. So that's going to be coming up shortly this month. And those are the updates that I have.
Great updates. Thank you, Raul. Commissioner Hanson, do you have a question? Raised.
Yeah, thank you. Raul, I was just curious if you or Misty could answer. The PHR library had a shortfall funding wise, but I understand that it's been, what's the word, discovered, or the funding has been found or located. I was just curious where those funds are coming from.
Okay, got it. Yeah, so you're referring to the 1.475 million shortfall that we had for the project. Those funds are still coming out of the DIF funds that are there. So there is funds available for that.
So
They've been budgeted
the
to be
PHR PFFP, is that where that's
Yeah,
coming?
the
Yeah.
FBA.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Great question. Any other questions, Raul? For Raul? It's so exciting to see the projects coming along. I mean, it just, you think back to the whole journey, and I'm thinking of that great groundbreaking picture, I think it was in the mayor's newsletter for Pacific Highlands Ranch. Like, wow, everything to get to here and still more to do. But congratulations, Raul, to you and your team for managing so many really, really large and exciting projects.
Thank you.
Stick with it. Still lots more to do, but really great progress. Thank you. All right, Misty, I think we're to you. Update from our director.
All right, well, I'm going to try to be quick because we've got two great presentations, but just want to fill you in on a couple of things that's going on. The first that I want to fill you in on is I did contact the city attorney's office about the potential letter for College Rolando parking. He did advise against doing a letter at this time until you have more information about what the development is going to be. He does not want you to do anything that may pit you against another, or pit the library against another department within the city. And since you all represent the library, but you also represent the city as a board, he thinks it is better to wait till you have more information before you write a letter of support. So wanted to let you know. So we'll keep you updated on what is going on with the project. We still have not heard anything from the developer. They've not gone before the planning board again. So we're really not sure what direction they're going to be going. We have, so your security, the security report is in your packet. I do want to point out that we did have a decrease. So we are seeing an overall decrease in incidents across the board. Back to, you really have to compare it back to 2019 of when we were open a full year. So we were down in fiscal year 22 from 2019. We've also down month over month from June to July. Our incidents were down. We still see some of the same typical things that we're seeing. We had some locations, you'll see some increases in locations like La Jolla, Linda Vista, San Isidro, Skyline Hills. We are seeing population, some of the unhoused population moving from the downtown area out into other areas. The incidents that we're seeing a lot of are things that are happening after hours. Not necessarily during hours, but happening after hours, either late at night or early morning. And so we have added an additional roving guard to our rotation. We put one roving guard at College Rolando, was having a lot of issues. So we put them there for about 2 weeks. It resolved those issues. We're going to take that one and add them to a rotation. We're going to add an additional guard here at Central Library overnight. We've had some issues with some unhoused juveniles that we have been trying to work with the Housing Commission and PD and homeless strategies on some avenues that we can do to help. We had a couple of juveniles that are part of a larger gang of unhoused, and they actually felt unsafe and came into the library and asked us to call someone to come and pick them up. They were in group homes and had run away from group homes, and then asked us to call that group home so that they could come pick them up. And so we had some staff that stayed quite a few hours after closing, waiting for rides to come reunite, to take these kids back to a safe place for them. But overall, we're still working away on it. It's a never ending thing, but it brings me to something else that is really exciting. And I'm going to put a link in the chat for you all. And we will also make sure that this is in the minutes. This is a report that was done by Dr. Leanne Urata, who is with, she's with the School of Social Work at SDSU. She is also works with UCSD. She did a research study on homelessness at the Central Library, and it's assessing the potential role of social workers. It's a really interesting report. She did a lot of focus groups, particularly talked to people who have opioid addiction. And I think I had reported this before. We learned that a lot of opioid users choose the library to be the place where they use those opioids, because they feel that if they should overdose, someone will find them, which is a little disconcerting for us. And that has been an ongoing challenge for us that we've been trying to address. So she did this study. It validated a lot of the things that we knew. But what she's going to be doing next is an additional study on what can we do to interrupt and be part of the intervention strategy, and basically be part of the solution. So she did receive a grant for a 2-year study that, again, will take focus groups and discuss with them intervention strategies, and then eventually have what's called Boot by the Book. So it's working with Father Joe's, and it's connecting people through telehealth, but also connecting them to resources for buprenorphine, which is kind of the equivalent to methadone. And what we want to do is create an easier pathway, kind of reduce the barriers for people to be able to continue to get that prescription. So having the library be a place where people can come and do like a Zoom call with their, with the healthcare provider. Part of this will also be putting a social worker, a social work intern at the Central Library to work along this program. That's something we've been really interested in doing. And so we're going to be able to study that and hopefully be able to expand that. We're also going to be looking at having this at Logan Heights as well. And then, so that's it for me. Super fast.
Great. Thank you, Misty. Thank you for sharing that resource as well. I'm excited to look at that and the impact of social work. Linda, Commissioner Caballero-Sotelo has a question. Yeah, I think you might be frozen.
Misty, I am blown away by what you just shared with. Am I frozen there?
You're back.
Is that better? Can you guys hear? Okay, great. Thank you. I was just saying, Misty, that I'm blown away by you sharing the possibility of having some of those supportive services there at the library. And I'm wondering, in terms of support from the county, Health and Human Services, and other pools of funding that we could be supportive in advocating for, as well as maybe including other partners, healthcare providers in the region that are really instrumental in some of the mental health issues that have like award-winning programs that maybe they have some expertise. Like I know that Sharp has a tremendous program, and I'm sure Ben can speak more to this, but maybe there's some resources there that could really not only support the work, but put us ahead of the curve and have some interesting partnerships.
That would be exceptional. And if you have any suggestions or any partners that you know of, that would be phenomenal. We do have a partnership with the county. County Behavioral Health. We have a NAMI counselor who is here 5 days a week, and that's funded through the county's behavioral health department. He really makes a big difference for us. Of course, he's only one person. We would love to have him for more hours or have a second person, but they're struggling. They're having some hiring issues, just like everybody else is. It's interesting with this study and having, actually studying the impact of social workers and studying the impact of intervention resources in libraries has never been done. So this grant for Dr. Yarada with the Institute of Health, she said they basically called her and said, I can't believe no one has ever done this before.
Wow.
So it is going to be really interesting, and I feel really lucky that we're going to be able to look at what more we can put in our toolbox, right? So,
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, maybe we can talk offline as well. I'll send some other ideas.
I would love that.
Social work, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Linda. Okay, we are moving forward to our agenda items, and we have some great presentations. First up, we have our Health Misinformation Partnership with Circuit Libraries from Oscar. Excited to hear you. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, y'all. And let me just get my PowerPoint set up. So again, I'm going to be presenting on the circuit libraries and a task force, the Health Information Advisory Team, and some of the work that we've been doing. So who we are, Circuit is basically a consortia of 6 public and academic libraries. So we serve communities across San Diego County. So that is CSUSM, also San Diego County Library, obviously San Diego Public, San Diego State University, UC San Diego, and also the University of San Diego. And what Circuit has done since '97, they've provided a service for library users to borrow print books from other San Diego Circuit libraries, so you can get your materials very quickly from any of those institutions. We also collaborate on strategic information initiatives in the San Diego region, and that includes this Health Information Advisory Team that I currently serve on. So some of the goals for the Health Advisory Team are to support the county's campaign to counteract health misinformation. We also advance health information literacy support at circuit libraries and just build health misinformation resilience basically throughout all of our San Diego communities, whether they be student, public, what have you. And just a bit about why this work matters. Health misinformation, it is a public health crisis. You have seen the Surgeon General talk about this. And libraries, we have an opportunity to build our community's resilience to this health misinformation because we're consistently responding to users' health questions when they're in the library. So that's our opportunity to combat that health misinformation. And so one of the things that the team did was we built a health information guide. And this guide, it's both for the public and it's also for library staff to get better trained on health reference. So we're promoting health information sources like trusted, vetted resources that librarians have vetted are in this health information guide. We also distributed over 25,000 COVID test kits. That was in collaboration with HHSA and the San Diego County Libraries. And we've also hosted COVID-related programming in collaboration with San Diego County Library as well. And just hosted health reference trainings for library workers. So we partnered with the National Library of Medicine to host a training specifically for information professionals to help them do better health reference for our patrons. So a little bit more about the health information guide. So it's basically explaining what misinformation is. It gives some evaluation techniques, like how can you really evaluate if a resource is reliable? And then how do you manage misinformation? And so one of the things we talk about is how do we respond to misinformation, right? And so we talk about strategies for listening, empathizing, pointing, redirecting people to credible sources, but not shaming, right? And making sure that we're being inclusive as we're sharing health information. And that's one of the strongest things we can do to combat misinformation and the sharing of it. So what's next for us? So on the horizon, we are now focusing on some reproductive health programming. So several members of the health information team are working together on a program in September. It'll be here at the Central Library, and we'll begin promoting that next week. But it's 2 authors are coming to talk about books, Shout Your Abortion and My Mom Had an Abortion. And that will be happening on September 10th here at Central. And you'll see promo start going out about that next week. We're also focusing on reproductive health information tables. So we'll have like Planned Parenthood and other resource organizations tabling and sharing information in the library as well. And we'll also be updating the health guide with links specifically to reproductive health information. So these are some of the things that are coming up on the horizon for the circuit team. And then a bit about what you can do to help. So if you can help by promoting the Circuit Health Information Advisory Team programs, if you can just share those within your own networks, share the health information guide. If you see misinformation being shared, you can always link back to our health information guide. And then you can also connect our team to any local community groups or health related organizations that you're connected to. And if you have any program suggestions, you can email those to us as well. And this is our email address here listed. And that is what the advisory committee has been doing with Circuit. And I'm welcome to any questions that you have. Thank you.
Wow, great presentation, Oscar. Amazing what the collaborative partnership has already created, and so timely in this day and age and so many different media sources. I love the idea of having a guide of tools for people to be, make smart decisions and what to do with that information. So that's really, really cool. Any questions for Oscar? Thank you for the link. Love it. Love it. I'm going to still just stick with my misinformation that bacon is good for you. If you wash it down with kale, there's some misinformation. But excellent presentation. Thank you for that. I just keep thinking, our libraries do so much. So congratulations on that partnership, Oscar, and everything you and the team and our partners are working on. Wow. All right, we have some exciting naming opportunities, naming proposals. They are listed in your packet, named after a current and a late community leader. This is really exciting. Misty, do you want to talk about these naming opportunities?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. And so this will be an action item for you, and you can take these individually or at the same time, whichever you would like to do. So the first is the naming of the future community room in the new Oak Park Library for Senator Tony Atkins. And as you know, this is something that the mayor also supports and council. And this is, Senator Atkins, not only has she been a lifelong advocate for libraries, but in fiscal year 22, she facilitated the state grant of $300,000 for the preliminary design for Oak Park Library. And then this fiscal year, she spearheaded a huge infrastructure bill for libraries, which is the first, over $400 million in infrastructure for libraries. But then she also secured $68.5 million in funding from the state budget for projects throughout San Diego, including $20 million for the Oak Park branch library, as well as $4.5 million for Ocean Beach, $1.9 million for University City, and $1.5 million for San Carlos. And so I feel that in with the guidelines of the council policy for naming, she certainly far exceeds the contribution necessary for a naming opportunity. And so I want to bring that to you for your consideration. And then the second is the naming of the Central Library Terrace for Jim Daw. And so this is the terrace outside of the Shiley Special Events Suite on the west side. So it's the sunset. It's facing the sunset. So it's facing the west, where you can oversee Petco from that. So if you're looking at the Shiley from the center terrace, it's the one on the right. Jim Daw, I mean, what can I say? Jim Daw is was a San Diego treasure. He was really passionate about libraries and probably was one of our biggest advocates that we have ever had. He contributed so much of his time. He served as chair of the Library Board of Commissioners. He was on the California State Library Board, the Urban Libraries Council Board, and was the founding chair of the San Diego Public Library Foundation. He also was instrumental in the bond measure that led to the first master plan that we have, and over $350 million for library, including the new Logan Heights and the Central Library. So, you know, he's been involved in so many things throughout San Diego, and this would be just a really fitting tribute for Jim. So it would be the Jim Daw Sunset Terrace.
Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And I was thinking to myself when I was reading about this, oh gosh, I wish we would have done something sooner for Jim and for Tony, Senator Atkins, two amazing, amazing community leaders whose legacies will live well beyond their years on this planet. Misty, thank you to you and also Mayor Gloria and the foundation for bringing these forward. I will entertain a motion. If you'd like, we can take it as one motion or separately, but I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve both.
Approve both. Great.
And I
Thank you.
second.
Thank you. I don't hear who was the first second, but all in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions? Any nays? Okay, great. Motion carries for both of those. Thank you so much, Misty, for bringing those forward. Really, really special. Okay. Anything else, Misty?
I just wanted to ask how they, particularly the Daw family, will be notified of the honor.
So we have been working actually with Mary Daw on this, and
Awesome.
and kind of trying to determine a space that, you know, she felt, you know, and you may not know, but the in the center courtyard, the Qualcomm Dome Terrace, there is a sitting area that is actually named for Jeremy Daw. So that's why we felt like this was really fitting, because
That's perfect.
it's close to that space. Yes.
Thank you, Misty.
Thank you.
This is really
Steph.
wonderful
Great.
as a friend of Sarah Daw, and so just thank you.
And we'll let you know. We're gonna have we're gonna do the official kind of ribbon cutting, you know, and so we'll let you know when that happens.
We've all seen naming opportunities, you know, throughout our careers, but boy, both of these, Senator Atkins and Jim Daw, have, you know, it's like we can name entire, I don't know, institutions after them, you know, beyond a Jim Daw or Senator Atkins day or room or building or a terrace or planet. So thank you. Yeah, wonderful. All right, well, continuing on this exciting note, Library Master Plan, phase 2. I'm so excited to see our friends here, Carson and Jill, and David's got a very, very cool background, but welcome back. You all have the floor. We're just so excited to continue with this process.
Thanks.
Thank you
We
for
are
joining
too.
us today.
It's
Thank you.
wonderful to be back. And while I'm pulling up the deck and sharing my screen, I did want to, you know, kind of take this opportunity to formally introduce you all to David Schnee, who's a principal at Group 4. I don't think there's anybody in the whole nation who's done more facilities planning for large metro library systems, but he's also led the design of some of our nation's most innovative and inspirational libraries. So we are so thrilled to have him as we embark on phase 2. So David, do you want to?
I'll just say a couple words. So I've been watching Jill and Carson go through the first phase 1 with you, backing her up a little bit there, but just saying, God, this is the most amazing library system with the most amazing partners. And I've got to get in on the action. And so now as we're in phase 2 here, and we're bringing additional resources in. And so I'll really look forward to working with you all. And the commission is just such a vital institution and leader in this. So thank you for letting us continue on this next phase.
So Misty asked us to give you a little bit of an overview of the process we're starting on now, the much lauded phase 2, and then tell you a little bit about what Carson and I had the opportunity to see when we were there 2 months ago now, which is amazing that the time is going by so quickly. But I wanted to take a step back and look at where we were the last time we presented to the commission, which I think was last fall, as we were kind of wrapping up the bulk of the work on phase 1, and show you a little bit of how what came out of that is going to shape how we move forward with phase 2. So the framework established the principles that are going to, guide how we approach this project generally, this vision for the library, and how it should be as a network, how it should be as individual buildings, and as an experience for the community. We had our principles and strategies for place, which is really going to shape how we look as we go building by building and finally get to tour these facilities we've been thinking about for so long. Everything from the basic condition of the building, how well maintained they are, how they feel walking in for the public, how well they align with the needs and interests of the communities that each library serves, and as well as who's not served, right? One of our questions when we walk through for staff is like, who are you not seeing in this library right now? So we want to keep that in mind as we're doing this process. And then looking at whether there's space for programs and people in addition to the space that is available for books. The principles that for space are also going to shape how we look at the options and opportunities before us as we think about what the San Diego Public Library could and should look like for the future. The framework does recommend adding more space in most parts of the city in order to promote equitable access to library services. And it does recommend that when you have the opportunity to build new libraries, to build bigger ones, because we saw in phase 1 how those do really provide a lot more service. But it doesn't say that every library needs to be bigger than it is now. And that gives us the flexibility to think about what the most cost-effective, what the best ways to achieve that expanded capacity might be. So we're going to be looking at those as we move forward. And then we do need to keep in mind the impact of this expansion on the library's operating budget, which, as we all know, is not unlimited, and we need to be sensitive to that. So as we think about expansion, we want to think about ways to increase that space without proportionately increasing the cost that it's going to take to operate these libraries. One of the, I think, David, is this where I transition to you? Thank you.
I'll jump in. Thanks, Jill. And so building upon the fantastic framework and all the work before, phase 2 now really focuses on the facility recommendations across the city. So in addition to the exciting projects, large and small, that are underway that Raul summarized, and those are the orange dots here, the facilities that haven't really been significantly improved in the last 20 years, the tan circles on this map will of course be the big area of focus in phase 2. But we won't ignore the ones that were addressed through the last master plan, those green dots, either, because library service has evolved significantly in the last decade. And some of San Diego's library projects from the 2000s may not have anticipated all of this evolved library service. For example, the amount of convenience power needed for laptops and tablets, smartphones, and other devices that your customers bring into the library. So this is fundamentally a master plan for San Diego's entire library system. We want every community to see the important improvements that are available for them. So there are some there will be some level of recommendation for nearly all of the San Diego Public Library's facilities. A recommended scope for improvement, whether that's renovation, expansion, replacement, or relocation. A recommended size or size range as appropriate. A recommended budget for the project, and not just construction, but the whole project cost, and a recommendation for implementation timeframe. And so you'll see the map when we come back to you in the future, it will be color coded with a different color scheme here. And this will be updated to reflect the various levels of improvement that are possible. And when we are going through the engagement that Jill's going to be describing shortly, we'll be getting feedback at the local level and at the zone levels for which of the best improvements and most appropriate, and that will have the greatest support. So we will switch now from the brick and mortar discussion to another aspect of phase phase 2, which is the digital lens aspects that Carson is leading. And I'd hand it over to you, Carson.
Thanks so much, David. Of course, I'll talk about the geeky enterprise technology stuff because it's so important. It was so great to pull Curtis together and his crew, and we were looking at things that are just essential to look at, like our infrastructure. We also want to create some standards that will make installations for all of our new and planned facilities and upgrades and renovations to make that easy to do and consistent to support as we go forward. So we started digging into some of the details about that. But just as excitingly, we talked about how to engage library staff in terms of creating technology vision. We know that in earlier phases, we captured so much great information from staff. And so we want to, we're looking at ways to leverage some of the internal communication methods that San Diego Public Library has to engage staff in a way that doesn't drive them crazy with too many bugging them too much, but it also provides access and input for everyone who's able to give us that. We think that that will be extremely fun, extremely important. And so our next steps are developing that. But that was just one of two different things that we're doing kind of in parallel. And our next thing is looking at centralized services. Raul, I hope you're okay with this picture that we're showing of you literally buried, like many staff are, especially at the Central Library, in things that need to be done, physical things that need to be there. And so we're actually looking at that really carefully. From earlier, we know that we want to improve our courier services, and we'll talk a little bit more about what we saw when we were on site. We know things are challenged. The idea is that we want to be aspirational. We want to move forward in solving the problems that we have. So we got a big group of staff together and had a very gut level conversation about the state of courier, the state of other things that could happen in terms of centralized services. We also discovered some things, for instance, that staff are doing some workarounds to compensate for some of the challenges that we have in courier delivery. So we want to, we're in the process of documenting those, and we want to address those directly. We also want to invite city logistics into this conversation as well. We know that they work awfully hard to do the best job that they can, but they've got some constraints that we'll talk about in a minute. But it's been great to be able to do that. So we're going to have another workshop. Our next steps will be considering possibilities for things that go beyond just courier, since that got most of our attention, but really the whole flow of materials that we acquire, the stuff that we buy, the stuff that we make available, needs to be looked at so that we can, Raul can get out from under all of that as well as the other staff, and make things happen really well for our patrons and our community.
We, of course, did a lot of outreach, as much outreach as we could during phase 1, and we talked with a whole bunch of community members virtually. We also did the focus groups with traditionally marginalized and underrepresented populations in a process like this, and we're very, we heard so much good information, but we've still been hungry for more, and we're excited to have the opportunity to do more as part of this process. Same as with phase 1, we want to make sure we're hearing from non-library users and those underrepresented populations, as well as your current library, very enthusiastic library customers. We want to make sure we're hearing from as many people as possible. We're still working out the details of what the actual activities are going to be, but we are planning for 2 big rounds of engagement. The first one's going to be that sort of broad listening, tell us what you think about the community and the libraries and what the opportunities are. And then there will be a second round later where we'll be looking for feedback on the things that are coming out of the plan, the things that might be draft recommendations, things that we want to make sure we're getting right. So we're still planning, like I said, what those will actually look like. But that first round we're planning right now, and we're hoping to get that going here in the next couple of months. Some of that will be in the current library buildings, and some of it is going to be out in other community locations. That's the current direction. So with that, go quickly through some of the things that Carson and I saw when we were there in June. We had a wonderful time on site, getting to see Many of you here on the new Jim Daw Sunset Terrace, we had a lovely mixer out there, and Carson mentioned the workshops he had with staff. We walked through a bunch of facilities. It was really good to be there and kind of, see it in the flesh versus from a distance, which is what we've been doing all this time. It was great to see some of the latest and greatest libraries that you have there in San Diego, San Isidro, the new model, that sort of very people and program forward model of branch library service. And then of course, the just wonderful things that are happening at the Idea Labs, like the one at Malcolm X. We saw lots of the older classic models too. Some of these, University Heights in particular, you walk in and if it wasn't for sort of the COVID protocols, it felt a little bit like stepping back in time. And, these are all the things that we're excited to take a deeper look at here and what the opportunities are. What should University Heights be to serve the community for the future?
Jill and I want to thank to Misty, Raul, and Charlie. They took so much time and so much care to pack in as many library tours as we could in 2 days. And the tours were in equal value to all of the dashboard conversations that we had, talking about the specific issues and some of the just most beautiful discoveries. There is such a high degree of staff care for the community. These are very connected, very localized, and San Diego is a system, but the branch staff really know the people using the libraries. Super passionate and super inspiring. I'm getting little goosebumps thinking about some of the conversations and things that we saw. That was so nice. The Central Library was so amazing to see. In some cases, it's this monument to space and public spaces, and so many interesting things happening. On the other hand, there are back of room areas that were never designed to handle modern library needs and services, and to see the sorts of things that staff are doing to make that work has inspired us to work even harder to help find solutions for some of these things, which is our focus for those system-wide support services and why we're expanding that. It was really taking a look at the back of room situation, and just when you look at those boxes on the right, those are things that have been received and they're being ready to be made available to patrons. Those need to come up an elevator from the loading dock to be processed and then distributed, and sometimes they're distributed, of course, to other libraries. So that's a lot of effort, and so we know that there's some opportunities to make that work more smoothly. But without seeing these things, it's impossible to really grasp the depth that's needed. And then finally, we took a tour of the sorting facility, and we saw some of the challenges out there. Now we do know again that sorting isn't keeping up with traffic, and there's challenges, with the physical space, with the machines, the capacity, what it's able to do actually physically, and it's just a big job to do. So it was just so great again to be in person, talk to the people that are directly related to performing this work, and really start thinking about how we make things better, because we do want to recognize, of course, that things are challenged and tough, but we need to keep our eyes on the fact that we need better performance out of getting materials around here. So both of these things can be addressed in the same blink of an eye and same effort, so that we can reach our aspirations.
Right. So as David mentioned, the next time we show you this map, it may look a little bit different, but we're looking forward to seeing more of these buildings, as I said, very, very soon. So that was a whirlwind tour of the process and our initial observations, thoughts. Any questions we can answer for you all at this time?
What a great kind of summary and flashback, and great presentation. And David, thankful for your expertise as well. I just love that you touched upon library staff. And I think that's something that we all inherently know, but it cannot be said enough how amazing and passionate and creative and innovative our library staff are. And I know as a former foundation board member, we have the privilege often of going to the branches on branch tours and delivering cookies. And you talk to the staff that have been there many, many years, and they're just, it's like you are being invited to their home. No matter the size, no matter if they have a fancy library or a classic library. I love how you mentioned that. They were just so proud. And so, you know, really kudos to Misty and the team. You know, I can't say it enough times, the creativity of working through COVID, but just the everyday dedication and the programming and the challenges. And we all deserve amazing libraries, but even the pride in the smallest and oldest libraries. So that was a great whirlwind tour. Thank you to the Charlie and the Foundation for making that happen. It's so fun to see the different libraries in our system and how they are all incredible in different ways and will become even more so. So what a great, I really enjoyed seeing your presentation. And oh, it's like a picture book, a memory book, and lots and lots and lots of hard work. It's really just kudos as you continue the process as well. Any questions for Carson or for Jill or for David?
I appreciate that you called the little old libraries classic.
I like that. It's like a classic car. It's still awesome, but it's
Classic Coke.
Yes, that's right. Fantastic. And we all remember back to the early days. We're like, okay, phase one, where do we start? All right, let's get some community input. Is anyone going to give us input? I'm sure they will.
Oh, they're all hungry to share. So
yeah. Thank you for compiling so much information and gathering the information, and that, you know, what an incredible document and living and breathing tool this will be for our system. So amazing. Any questions? Well, let's see. I just muted myself. Okay. And I also just closed the agenda. So I am just par for the course here. I was just so taken by the presentation. Okay.
It's just wrapping up.
I think we're about it here. Is there any other, thank you so much, commissioner comment? How about any other business?
Wendy, do you want, so we did get a notification Friday from the Office of Boards and Commissions. As you know, or you may know, that AB 361 allowed amended the Brown Act so that we could do teleconference participation in meetings. It requires the council to reevaluate the state of emergency every 30 days. They did that on August 2nd, but now they are in legislative recess for the next month and a half. They will not reconvene until September 12th. Unfortunately, that means that the next meeting, the I think it's September 7th, is the next commission meeting.
Correct. That's the one that either needs to be in person or adjourned, right?
Right,
Okay.
because they will not have reevaluated the state of emergency and allowed for the relaxation of it. The city attorney's office is recommending that any board or commission meeting between September 2nd and September 12th either be held in person or be adjourned.
Okay. I would recommend that maybe what do you think, Misty, about Tricia sending a doodle poll or a survey to the commissioners to check their availability? I know it is a Labor Day week, their comfort level. I don't know that we need to do that publicly right now. And then we will, maybe if we can get something out this week or next, so we can notice the meeting, that we will, if you feel comfortable and are available, because a couple things we always check to make sure we have quorum, but I know that we haven't been back in person yet, but we'll take a poll to see if we will either be in person or adjourn. Thank you for summarizing the Brown Act latest, because that was a whole lot of details. I thought, I'm going to mess this up. And then we will let you know and notice the meeting appropriately. Does that sound good, Misty?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay. Good. All right. All the fancy things, we just want to make sure we're following the rules correctly. But thank you all for joining us. And really, again, just thank you for all that you do for the library. Thank you to our amazing library staff, our foundation staff, our friends, our commissioners, our incredible partners, G4 and Carson. Thank you for your leadership. And I don't have anything else. So if there's nothing else, I will go ahead and adjourn us all at 1:30. Have a great afternoon, and thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.